Hello and welcome to this bubble sort algorithm tutorial. In this tutorial we'll not only learn how bubble sort works, but we'll also be solving an example together. So let's get started. So first things first, why is bubble sort called bubble sort? Well, that's because it sorts elements in an array in a way similar to bubbles inside water. The way water bubbles move to the surface, in bubble sort the largest elements of the array move towards the right side of the array one by one. Now let's look at the working of bubble sort. It takes two elements at a time. It checks if the element on the left is less than or greater than the element on the right. If the element on the left is greater than the element on the right, then swapping takes place and the algorithm moves on to the next iteration. But if the element on the left is smaller, well then no swapping takes place and the algorithm moves on to the next two elements. For a better understanding, let's look at an example. Here we have an array of 5 elements with indexes 0 to 4. We also have a variable named j. J is used for comparing purposes. At the first iteration, the variable j is placed at index 0. Hence we can consider that the element at index 1 is j plus 1. Now we compare j and j plus 1. If the left element is greater than the right element, then swapping takes place. In our case it is, hence swapping will take place. After swapping the elements at index 0 and 1, we increment the value of j. Now j is at index 1 and j plus 1 is at index 2. Again we compare j and j plus 1. In this case the left element is smaller than the right element. Hence no swapping takes place and we can increment the value of j. Now j is at index 2 and j plus 1 is at index 3. Since the element at the left is greater than the element at the right, swapping takes place. After swapping we again increment the value of j. Now j is at index 3 and j plus 1 is at index 4. Since the element at the left is again greater than the element at the right, swapping takes place. After swapping you might notice that we can no longer increment the value of j. Even if we try to increment the value of j, we would not have any value at j plus 1 to compare j with. This is the end of pass 1. In bubble sort there are multiple passes. At the end of each pass, the largest remaining element in the array ends up at the rightmost place. Hence we consider the index 4 to be sorted and the element 5 to be at the right place. After the end of pass 1, we can carry out pass 2. We follow the same steps in pass 2 like we did in pass 1, but this time we will not perform our sorting operation on the last element, which is 5 and which is already sorted. So here you can see that we are performing the second pass of our bubble sort algorithm. After the end of second pass, we have the second largest element at the second last spot on the array. And hence we can consider that the index 3 to be sorted and the element 4 to be at its right place. Similarly, we perform the third pass. And now you can see that at the end of pass 3, we get the element at index 2 at its right place. And then we perform the last pass in our array, which is the fourth pass. At the end of pass 4, we can see that the element at index 1 is sorted. Now we just have one unsorted element left, which is at index 0. And since there is just one unsorted element, we can consider that to be sorted too.